Howdy, folks. Brian Zach here with you, back again. I want to talk about my setup here and why I play this setup the way that I do with the toms that are over to the side here. I forget the name of that. What do they call that? They're offset is the word. The offset toms. So in other words, normal 5-piece kit, kick, snare, 2 racks, and a floor tom. Normally, the 2 racks would be here. The high rack would be up from the snare drum, and then the next rack tom would be next over here in the middle, and then the floor tom down below, which is where it is. But instead, I'm shifting them over. And why am I doing that? And, this is something that I'm seeing more and more people, more drummers do this, seeing it more often. And I guess everyone has their own reasons, but I'm here to tell you my reason. And there's a couple actual reasons why I do this and why I feel more comfortable this way. So reason number one, and this is kind of like, this was the main culprit for me wanting to move the tom, offset the toms the way that they are. And that's because especially when I play a kit configuration that has a 10-inch tom, a 12-inch tom, and then a floor tom, and then maybe other drums involved as well. But mainly, what I was trying to avoid was having the 10-inch tom be the first rack tom up from the snare drum. Now, why? Because when I instinctively reach for a tom sound, I don't want it to be a 10-inch sound. I want it to be a lower, deeper sound, and that's just kind of in style. That's kind of what's in vogue these days, quote unquote. It's been like that for at least 10 years, probably more than that, really. Not since the 90s did drummers use 10-inch toms prominently in pop and rock and country music. And so, to avoid the bad habit of going bap, 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 boom, and hitting the 10-inch tom, I'm basically putting it out of the way. Like, that way, if I want to hit the 10-inch tom, and in this case, I don't have a 10-inch tom here. This is my Camco LA Camco kit, and so this is a 12-inch here, 13-inch here, 16-inch floor tom. And but the whole thing is, if I want the high voice tom, then I need to go get it. Okay, so that was the primary reason for me to move the toms offset like this, because I didn't want that voice to be the main tom sound. So imagine I'm sitting here with a 10, 12, 14 or a 10, 12, 16, doesn't matter. I'm putting the 10-inch tom up there, offset, and putting the larger tom, rack tom, that is the 12 or the 13-inch, so let's call it the medium voice. And I want that medium voice to be the main drum that I go to when I play Pat Boone, Debbie Boone. I want that voice to be heard as the main tom. Okay? So that's just a preference that I have. Now, there are other things that I have other advantages to this offset nature of the toms. And one of them is that it makes more room for your ride cymbal. Pretty obvious, right? Because now you have this open space over here on the right side over your kick drum. And so you can position the ride cymbal more comfortably, because I no longer have to put the ride cymbal up higher than if there was a tom here, then I'd have to put the ride cymbal up above that tom, and therefore now my shoulder is having to raise. I have to raise up my shoulder a lot higher to get to that ride cymbal voice. Or if I wanted to, some guys and girls, they put their ride cymbal further over to the right side over here. I don't like that at all because I don't like having to open up my shoulder any more than I already need to. So I really don't like that feeling because I don't like that. That's not a natural feeling for me. But in this position, all I'm doing is I'm just sitting up straight, and I put my arm out straight forward, and the ride cymbal is right there. Okay, so that is a huge advantage, I think, in my opinion, because just for comfortability, especially when you're playing long gigs or just shows where, you're on the ride cymbal a lot. Even and this kind of pertains to the next reason. There is another reason, and it's a very good one as well. And let's get into that right now. The third reason being that I always want to have the main kit is always going to be a 4-piece kit. So kick, snare, rack tom, floor tom. It will always remain this way. I will never, not never, but it will always, I always want to have this basic 4-piece kit. And oftentimes, when I'm playing house kits or backline kits, that's all you get. You don't have 2 rack toms. You'll have 1 rack tom. And so you're playing that 4-piece kit. So I don't want to get used to having 2 rack toms at home in the standard position and then getting on the gig, and then I've lost that voice. That voice is no longer there. So it's just now I only have 1 rack tom and 1 floor tom. So in this manner, with the offset toms, I am always playing a 4-piece kit in theory. In this way, when I add a voice or add a drum, as it were, to the 4-piece kit, I can extend it going that way, and I can extend it going this way, down below. So, for instance, when I play my other kit, which has 4 toms, has 2 rack toms and 2 floor toms, still play in the 4-piece conventional kit like this, but I'm adding a tom higher over on this way, and I'm adding a tom lower down below. So there's 2 floor toms. So there'll be, that way it's a 10, 12, 14, 16 in descending order. So this has been a game changer for me, and it took a little bit of getting used to, especially positioning the high rack tom on this side and so close to the hi-hat. And sometimes there's a little bit of a struggle there, and there's a little bit of a compromise with where my left foot and hi-hat pedal goes. But over time, I've sort of gotten used to moving my hi-hat out just a little bit more, and I've gotten comfortable with that. I also play a double pedal, so that kind of comes into play as well. So I'm already sort of used to having the hi-hat kind of maybe out a little bit further than most people would normally put the hi-hat. But it's not far. It's not like it's uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. It is not. Trust me. I am very comfortable with this kit. But especially when it's a 12-inch rack tom is my smallest tom, that's when, positioning it with the 15-inch hi-hats that I'm using, or sometimes even 16-inch hi-hats, I have to make some small adjustments just to make sure that the cymbal isn't touching up against the drum and rubbing against the lug, or certainly not against the shell, especially not with this kit. Hell no. I'm careful with this kit because it's my baby, at least one of my babies. And so there is that. And the other, the only other real drawback of using the offset toms the way that they are here, the way that you see them, is that there's a little bit more space between going from the 13 to the 16 or whatever drum you have here. Either it's a 12 or a 13 going to the 16. And it's not as close. So there's a little bit of a more of a jump to go from that tom to the floor tom. And if you're moving really fast and you're playing a real fast roundhouse fill, there's a little bit of movement there. It's a new path is really what it is. And you have to sort of practice and just get used to that path, because that middle rack tom that normally you would have right here would be next to the floor tom, and that's much easier to get around in a sort of a circular motion. It's no longer circular, it's more like egg-shaped or like elongated, like oval shaped, because the going from the snare to the high to the middle to the low is a little more elongated of a circle. So it's a different shape, and it just takes some getting used to, but not long. If you practice and you work on it and you're conscious of it and you just go slowly at first and just make sure that you're playing in the center of the head on each drum and just moving around the kit. And, I practice these sort of mobility exercises, and I will be posting those soon as well. It's another thing that I've been practicing and working on, and so stay tuned for that, for those mobility exercises, and there's plenty of them to show you. But for now, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the setup here. Now, of course, you notice I have my cymbals up pretty high, and I'm one of the few who I like to put my cymbals up kind of high, and it's partly because as a recording session drummer, I want the cymbals up out of the zone of the tom mics. So I'm trying to keep the cymbals separated from the tom mics so that there's less bleed of cymbals into the tom mics and snare mic and any of the mics that are down here on the drums. And so it takes a little bit of, especially this cymbal has to go up higher, because I can't have the cymbal. I mean, I guess I could put it lower, but it would have to be further away. And for me, that's not comfortable. I'd rather have the cymbal up higher and in more, kind of like in, like over the toms here. That's more comfortable to me. It just, I enjoy having my elbow space, as it were, here at the kit. So often I sit down at a house kit or just sit in on somebody else's kit, and I feel so enclosed because everything is so close and like next to each other, and like the cymbal is hitting the rim of the tom, and I don't have any elbow room. I don't know how you get any power that way, because I'm playing from the shoulders. If you're playing using molar technique and you're using your entire arm and shoulder for the power, right? And so I want my elbow space. I want to be able to, really like sort of attack the drum kit, as it were, in a loud setting, a loud musical environment. I want to be able to just really move my arms and have space to do that and not feel like I'm like a T-Rex with my T-Rex arms and I'm trying to get power out of, these little T-Rex arms. No, I want the kit to be spread out, big, wide, and comfortable. And just that way I'm not, sticks aren't crashing into each other. I'm not, clunking my stick into, something that I don't want to hit. on my way around the kit and that sort of thing. So it's really all about ergonomics. I could talk a little bit. I've talked, extensively in the past about why I tilt the drums the way that I do. It's primarily because I play traditional grip pretty much 95% of the time. And it's just, again, it's an ergonomic thing. It makes it comfortable to play traditional grip. And, I could get into more of the reasons why, but I've done it in the past. So just just do a search if you haven't seen the video or videos of me talking about ergonomics of traditional grip and why I set the drums up in this manner with the tilt the way that I do. It's not because I'm on a crooked floor or set up on a hill, like some people like to joke about. But it does sort of look that way. It's sort of like if you look at the kit from the front, it kind of makes you tilt your head a little bit because you're like, oh, everything is just sort of slanted in one direction. But I've come to really I just like the way that it looks too. Like I think it's just super old school and just kind of retro, and I love that. So I'm all about that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in my head conceptually about why I set these drums up the way that I do, offset from the kick drum. It's primarily the voices. I want that middle voice to be heard first. I want to go like bat boon dabby boon. I want that lower tom to be right next to my snare. And if I want to have the higher sound of a 10-inch tom, or in this case the 12-inch tom, I want it to be a musical choice that I'm making. So if I'm going to hit that tom instead of that tom, it's on purpose. It's not because I'm habitually just going from snare drum to tom-tom. I'm trying to take that out of the equation. I want to consciously choose the drum that I'm playing on the fill that I'm playing in the moment. Okay? That's a big thing. Is that just being able to choose which drum, which voice do I want to hit in the fill or in the groove or whatever. My arms aren't just flailing. Every single drum and cymbal that I hit, there's a musical reason why I want to hit that drum versus that drum. Okay? And I don't want it to be habitual because I'm just used to going ba ba boom like right there. And the 12-inch is right there, so I'm just going to hit the 12-inch. No, if I want to hit the 12-inch, I'm going to go there. And so you want to get to that point in your playing where you can control those decisions in the moment. All right, and it's true for cymbals too. There's a concept involved, and I've talked about this in another video. A cymbal concept with crash cymbals, especially with crash cymbals, but really all cymbals, because any cymbal should be a crash cymbal, and any cymbal should be a ride cymbal. That's my opinion. That's kind of an old school approach as well. Mel Lewis said that. And for instance, on this setup right here, now it does change from show to show, from musical application to the next application. But in this case, over here I have my 20-inch crash, so that's my low voice in the crash cymbals. This is a 19-inch, so it's sort of a medium, if you will. And over here, this is an 18-inch, an ion. I don't know if you can see that. I think you can see that in the lens there. It's got the holes in it. It's got that trashy sound, and it's a real high-pitched, not real high-pitched, but it's a higher pitch than the other cymbals. So they're actually in order right now, so from high, medium, and low. And then there's the ride, which of course actually is lower than, because this is a 22. So it's 18, 19, 20-inch crashes, 22-inch ride that you see here. And so there are voices here, and I'm for the music, I'm choosing which crash cymbal I think is appropriate for the moment in music that I'm playing. It's not just because, oh, that cymbal is right there. I mean, we're all guilty of that. I mean, let's face it. It's not all the time that I'm like, oh, I need to hit this cymbal and not that cymbal, especially if you're landing a very fast or intricate fill and you're coming, all the way down to the floor tom. I'm not going to land over there unless I really, really plan it out right. It's, I'd have to do a double and make it over there with my left hand, because hitting it from here, from the floor tom, going over to that cymbal over there would require a huge crossover, and it takes extra time, and it's uncomfortable, and you sort of tie yourself in a knot that way. So, certainly, this is why we work on rudiments. Okay, this is why we play doubles and paradiddles, because it allows us to get around the kit and choose these voices in the moment, so that we're so comfortable we can just, it's just like speaking a language, and you already know, you know in your head where you want to land, so you know that you have to play, I have to play a double on the right to land over there on the left. Okay, so just some ergonomics and just some conceptual thinking here. And, by no means do you have to copy what I'm doing. I just want you to know that this is what I've come up with that works for me. And you should do the same. You should sit at your drum set and really contemplate, where do I want everything? Where should the voices be? What's comfortable and what is practical? How many voices should I have? Should I have a 4-piece kit? Should I have a 5-piece kit? Should I have a larger kit? Should I have just 2 cymbals, a ride, and a crash? Should I have 2 crashes? Maybe I like to have 3 crashes whenever possible. I just like having 3 voices. I really like having a left side crash over the hi-hat. It really just, it's comfortable. And that's just what I like. So, for you don't have to, but you should. I encourage you to sit down at your drum set and just sort of rethink, what do I have available and where should it go? And what makes sense? What feels good? What makes musicals? What would make me make better musical choices? Okay? These are things that I think the novice drummer has no clue about, or even like the average sort of mediocre drummer, maybe weekender warrior type of, guy or girl. And this is sort of what starts to set apart the pros from, the mediocre average Joe type player, is these sort of concepts, and how do they come into play, and how are you conceptualizing the drum set? Because the drum set is an instrument very unique, because there's no rules. I mean, it's not like a piano where you can't rearrange the keys on the piano, or a trumpet where you can move the valves around and change the order that they're in, or even I guess you could restring a guitar different ways, but it's very personal, the drum set. And of course, it requires using your whole body to play. So everyone's body type is different, and some people are short, some people are tall, some people are large, some people are small. And so, I mean, there's no rules, and that's part of what's so cool about the drum set. And that's why drummers love to check out other drummers' gear, I think, is just because it's like, wow, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, that's over there. Oh, geez. Oh, look at the angle on that. And, it's a lot of fun for drummers to just see what other drummers are doing and what works for them. So, or, ideas that they've come up with. So, yeah, I encourage you to sit down at your drum kit and conceptualize. Just think about what do I want where, and what makes me play good musical choices, what kind of a sound do I want to have, And how do I achieve that sound with greater ease? Questions to ask yourself. That's I'm going to leave you with that. Thanks, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/BrianZach, and lessons with me at brianzach.com. And hit me up. I'm available for all of that. So thanks again for tuning in, and stay amazing.